If you look inside almost any major corporate network today, you'll find two completely separate teams hired to protect the exact same company. They share the same overarching mission, but they operate in entirely different realities and almost never talk to each other. On one side, you have the governance, risk, and compliance team. Think of them as the architects of corporate policy. Their job is to map out long-term risk, handle regulatory audits, and write the rules that keep the business out of legal trouble. But there's a serious catch. The data they rely on comes from manual checklists and sprawling spreadsheets. By the time someone actually reviews a security control, the information is often 3 months out of date. They are navigating a modern threat landscape using a map drawn a fiscal quarter ago. On the other side of the wall is the Security Operations, or SecOps team. These are the frontline defenders. They hunt for live threats, monitor network traffic, and respond to active intrusions in real time. But their reality is essentially a non-stop barrage of technical fires. And because they are cut off from the risk analysts, they usually have no idea which servers or applications actually matter most to the business. They're left guessing whether to save the payroll system or a minor test server first. When you force these two groups to work in strict isolation, the entire organization defaults to a defensive crouch. Half the security apparatus spends its time reacting to the demands of regulators and auditors, while the other half reacts blindly to whatever alarm bells are ringing loudest. This separation is a structural product of the software itself. The cultural divide is a symptom of a much deeper technical fragmentation. Look at this diagram. A modern security operations center often relies on anywhere from 40 to 60 different security tools simultaneously. Every single one of these tools generates its own alerts, speaks its own proprietary language, and feeds into entirely disconnected dashboards. This fragmentation creates a massive wall. The risk and compliance analysts have zero visibility into this live operational chaos. They write stringent safety policies, but they have no way to verify if those rules actually hold up against live network traffic, leaving them dependent on a slow trickle of paperwork. Meanwhile, the frontline defenders are drowning. They receive hundreds of overlapping technical alerts every hour. Without a clear corporate framework to organize the noise, a catastrophic threat to a highly sensitive database easily gets buried underneath dozens of minor, irrelevant software warnings. It is physically impossible to stop a modern cyber attack when your frontline defenders operate without business context and your risk analysts rely on outdated paperwork. The system requires a common ground. Fixing this divide starts with a very specific realization about the data itself. Tracking artificial intelligence across a corporate network for compliance reasons and monitoring that exact same network for security threats are the exact same problem. They rely on the exact same data points. To solve this, organizations are stripping away the bloated 40-tool stacks and replacing them with a converged architecture, known in the industry as a single pane of glass. This is how Convergence actually operates. Disparate network logs, threat alerts, and compliance audit trails are pulled out of isolated software silos and poured directly into a single, unified pipeline in real time. When you align the data this way, you expose the false division between the teams. If a defender applies a mitigation to block malware, that is the exact same thing a compliance officer calls a security control. They're using different vocabulary for identical actions. By forcing both departments to look at the same operational reality at the exact same moment, the organizational barrier between risk oversight and technical defense naturally dissolves. Sharing a data stream solves the visibility problem, but you still have a massive language barrier. A compliance officer isn't going to read a dense technical log file. This is where artificial intelligence steps in. Large language models are highly effective at matching massive amounts of text. AI now serves as an automatic translation layer, scanning a live technical network anomaly and instantly mapping it to the specific regulatory compliance frameworks the company has to follow. This process is known as risk quantification. It provides the shared metric that connects the technical defenders to the corporate leadership. Here we see that translation in action. The AI takes a highly technical threat, like a specific adversary tactic buried in server logs, evaluates the corporate assets at stake, and translates it into a bold financial metric, a $20 million daybreak risk. The board doesn't need to understand the computer code. They understand the financial exposure. Putting a dollar amount on a vulnerability completely changes the workflow. The operations team can instantly prioritize their response, focusing on the alert representing the highest financial threat, while the risk team gets immediate mathematical proof of a failing security control. By stripping out the jargon and distilling complex network traffic down to pure financial stakes, the artificial intelligence aligns executive priorities with the daily actions of the technical defenders. When risk analysts and security operators finally share the same tools and language, the organization can target a highly aggressive operational standard known as the 1-5-10 rule. The diagram maps it out clearly. Defenders have exactly 1 minute to detect an intrusion, 5 minutes to triage the threat and find the root cause, and 10 minutes to fully recover. Executing this velocity is impossible for a human being. It only works if the risk department's business context is directly encoded into the security team's automated response tools, allowing the software to make split-second decisions based on pre-approved corporate rules. This unified data pool powers the AI Risk Advisor. Because the system continuously watches both the compliance requirements and the live network traffic at the same time, it can identify subtle network patterns and suggest architectural fixes long before an actual attack ever takes place. The silos fall away. By converging the scattered tools and using AI to establish a common language, corporate cybersecurity sheds its reputation as a reactive compliance headache. It becomes a proactive strategic advantage that keeps the business moving forward.